So is Cuba the next United States territory? Is that true? Is that a lie? We need to unpack all of that today in this video. Also, if you want to know how this relates to your budget, to America, and what are the possible scenarios, please stay till the end of the video. So over the last few years, Cuba has slipped from slow decline into what many experts now describe as its worst economic and social crisis since the 1959 revolution. It's very sad. We're seeing power cuts, empty shells, and collapsing currency. And millions of people in the island are facing this every day. And that is very sad, and we're seeing a lot of protests right now. So this is what happens when you have a really, really highly controlled economy and it finally runs out of free foreign aid and free access to fuel and free revenue from foreign aid overall. We really need to unpack this because there's so much to it that could affect us. Before we start though, if you want more videos simplifying breaking news like this, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out a ton. Oh, let me drink some water before we unpack all of this, because this is a lot and it is very, very crucial. If you want to understand why this moment is so different, you have to look at the history of this country. And it relates a lot to how we look at it right now, because they had this revolution, they had Soviet aid, they had cheap oil, they had guaranteed trade deals that ensured that this island was going to be safe from any sort of market pressure for decades. But that support has collapsed since the 1990s. Cuba has entered this special period where they kind of pivoted towards tourism, limited foreign investment, and free subsidized Venezuelan oil. Those flows didn't fix the economic model, but it kept it alive. Several millions of people were living their life like that. They had tourism revenue. Actually, tourism accounted for 10 to 13% of their GDP. And remittances from people abroad, meaning Cubans who left the island and went to the United States, were also part of their GDP. So the social deal was super clear. Like they still have limited political freedom in exchange for at least food, power, and services. But that is, this is so messed up, because in case you haven't seen it, people are starving in the streets. People are fainting in the streets. They have no food. And that's not only the United States' fault. It's because they were getting free oil. And they're open to trade with the United States till people are literally protesting, rioting in the streets. If you talk with a Cuban, they're gonna tell you, oh, actually the government's like not standing up for us. Cuba in 2020, they were already having a very bad shrinking economy because American or any sort of foreign visitor or tourist didn't want to come to the island because of COVID. These are very big crises for this country, and these are millions of people. But what is happening right now? I said it before, and there is people in the streets of Cuba that are protesting for electricity, fuel, medicine, and confidence in their currency. Things that every human should be allowed to have. And why are these blackouts happening? People are blaming it on the United States. Because let me explain this to you. In order for you to understand everything, you need to know that blackouts were like not that frequent, but now they are very long, prolonged outages. There are people reporting more than 15 hours a day without power in some regions. Your hospitals, schools, everything, no services. And people have no idea when the lights are going to be back on. So this is when you hear everything in social media. People saying, oh, it's because Venezuelan shipments have been stopped. It's because we imposed this tariff on Mexico with Pemex sending them around 20,000 barrels a day. We stopped that aid for them. So the United States imposed a tariff with any country that traded with Cuba or sent any sort of free aid to Cuba. Their last resource was actually Mexico. We see that their economy is so bad that their GDP has fallen at about 5% last year and is roughly 15% smaller than a few years ago. But that is the information that communist regime tells you. So the research team for Minute Markets has done an amazing job, and we acknowledge that the regime has said that their GDP has fallen at around 5% year over year over the last 5 years. However, private estimates run far higher, which is so sad. The local currency has lost so much value that the real trade increasingly happens like with foreign currencies or informal markets. They don't have humanitarian aid, they don't have tourists. That's when the Cuban government went to their last resort, contacted the United States government for an open trade agreement. So please be on top of what's currently happening. Follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna leave the link down in the caption. But please make sure that you are well informed in what's happening with this country, because they want a deal with the United States where they're helped and they allow private investments. And what are those private investments? Foreign investments. Those are energy businesses, telecom businesses, and definitely oil businesses. Here's a list of the companies I've put down together that could be great for this, because these companies have a lot of experiences within Latin American markets and they definitely know the territory. This deal goes through the United States would be allowing fuel shipments and control investment in Cuba. There are several scenarios that could happen. There could be a scenario where none of this happens and Cuba just collapses. Or there could be another scenario where the Cuban government actually admits it and they need some help. They need foreign help. They need to change their economic agenda and how they work. Like we see Cuba opening up and having trade with several other economies. And if we see that, please pay attention to that list I put out there. I am not a financial advisor. I am just telling you that you should keep an eye out on the news and also in these companies. Really hope the best for these millions of people who live in Cuba. They have a lot of rising repression and people are barely surviving. So please be on top of news, be well informed. Don't go for news outlets that are too biased. And remember to subscribe if you want more videos simplifying breaking news like this. Thank you for watching.